You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
You're listening to the Pelicans Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
For all things Pelicans, you're now listening to the Pelican Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network. I'm Big Q chiming with you on podcast number 345. That's right, 345 on the Pelican Postgame Report. A lot to talk about dealing with our Pelicans. Some good, some bad, a lot of bad. Definitely a lot of bad dealing with the Pelicans. But as always, I'd like to give you guys a round of applause for joining us today on the Pelican Postgame Report on the PRO Media Network. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. Also, I'd like to thank you guys, if you're a true Pelicans fan, for following and watching some of these games. Some of these games are just terrible. I mean, absolutely terrible. And, we're dealing with a lot of injuries, and I understand that principle. But golly, how we fell from where we were at this time last year, encroaching upon a playoff season. All this momentum going after the All-Star break, of course, last year. And pretty much all we have to talk about this year is developing players for next season. Boy, how the skills shift, doesn't it, family? It changes very fast in the NBA. And just like you make a few moves right here, you got to keep making right moves if you want to keep ascending and climbing. But anyway, let's get into the Pelican Postgame Report podcast today, 345. Today we'll recap Kings, Hawks, and Lakers games today. We also will have an article covering the Pelicans' upcoming GM search as they are actively interviewing and speaking with potential GMs. We'll break that down in today's podcast, go over the injury report, and also we'll talk about some of the upcoming talent dealing with the Pelicans, such as the signing of Christian Wood, who was a 6'11", 215-pound power forward / center prospect. And like I said, when we signed Christian Wood, I have to give interim general manager Danny Ferry credit for going after players. In particular, he signed Bertans, the three-point shooter from Europe. And then, of course, getting Christian Wood. And I've often said about the Pelicans that they definitely need more three-point shooting, and they definitely need to get taller. They need to get more athletic, because if you see some of these athletic teams, they just run them out of the damn gym every time. And the Pelicans are smallish. Outside of the two traditional seven-footers we have in Anthony Davis and Jahlil Okafor, the Pelicans are small, man. Small. And I often said that they should have at least 4 7-footers or at least a combination of 7-foot, 6'11" guys on his team. They need size, and the Pelicans have been lacking that for the last several seasons. Outside of Anthony Davis, they did have DeMarcus Cousins a few years ago, but outside of those bigs, athletic bigs that can run the floor and match up with these long teams like Milwaukee and Minnesota, teams like that, Pelicans are sorely lacking in that. But Christian Wood definitely gives them an advantage, so we're going to cover that as well. Now, getting into some of these games, the Pelicans lost to the Atlanta Hawks 130-120. It was just one of them games where Trae Young just showed you why and who he is. I mean, he was excellent in his affair, 33 points. He was absolutely shooting the ball all over the place. And the Pelicans, of course, they stink defensively. They give a total of 12 wide, at least 12 wide open three-point shots every game. Count them. I have, sometimes 15. But when you follow the team as much as I did over this several seasons, especially since a guy like Elvin Gentry arrived, you could have went back in the day and see that he never sustained success as a head coach over a long period of time because he lacked the discipline. Not saying that he's an undisciplined guy that's just wild and crazy. But the teams don't respect him discipline-wise, and I mean balance-wise. Offensively, the guys run out of court jacking up three-point shots before setting up a play. It doesn't even look like sometimes they even running any plays. It just look like guys just shooting three-pointers. They're totally bewildered, confused, and totally just don't have a freaking clue of what to do defensively. They don't communicate. They often lapse and leave guys wide open, which they give up 12 3-point shots a game, and you can't do that against Atlanta, who destroyed them shooting the ball. Trae Young, of course, he was the top dude in the game, 33 points. Julius Randle played an excellent game. He finished with 24. The Pelicans, 47% from the field versus 45 by the Hawks. The Hawks were 19 of 51 from downtown for 38%. Pelicans shot 12 of 34 for 35%. They had an opportunity to go to the free throw line 40 times in the game, converting 30 of 40 for 75%. Versus, and let me stop right there. 30 of 40 from the free throw line, but the Pelicans lose the game to the Hawks 130 to 120. I'm just saying, man, fundamentally speaking, you got to hit the free throws. You have to play defense, and you can't turn the ball over, in which the Pelicans had 24 turnovers in this game. 24, and they converted into 26 points. The Pelicans stink. This is what I'm saying defensively. From a discipline standpoint, the fundamentals of basketball, not turning the ball over, playing defense, and making free throws. That's just some of the. If you do those three things well, consistently, you will win in games in the NBA. That's not all the things that you have to do, but if you can consistently do those three things, you can win a lot of games in the NBA. 130, 120 Pelicans fall out of the sky against this team, and attendance in the Smoothie King Center continues to be big. They had almost 15,000 people in the building. So all this foolishness about all these idiots out here talking about the Pelicans can't exist in a small market like the New Orleans market. New Orleans is not the only area that's the only city that's supporting this team. There are cities, dozens of cities throughout the state, throughout the region. It's a regional game, and they market it regionally that are Pelicans fans, that are NBA fans. It's just what it is. But outside of that, that's the matchup between the Pelicans and the Hawks. They just defensively. Trae Young hot. Collins was excellent. They were alley-ooping all over the place. They showed that they were a lot more athletic than the Pelicans. They showed that they have fire. And this Atlanta Hawk club has a lot to look forward to coming into the season. They're going to add another piece or two to the matrix because there'll be a lottery team, and they're going to continue to build. Now looking at an apathetic Pelican squad going to the next game, the Sacramento Kings. Now this was actually a pretty decent game because Sacramento is a borderline playoff team. They're really fighting for the playoffs, 37 and 38, fighting down to the wire for the playoffs game. They really should have won that matchup against the Pelicans. They really should have, because they really needed it. But the Pelicans did a really excellent job of stealing this game away from this team. And, in this particular matchup, Pelicans really did well. They shot a really good percentage from the field, 50.5 from the field. They were crappy from downtown, but so was Sacramento. Pelicans were 32% from downtown, 43% for Sacramento. The Pelicans were 14 for 14 from the free throw line, 400%, 14 of 16 for Sacramento. Pelicans out-rebounded them by 2. And the Pelicans held their turnovers down to 12 with 13 points off each turnover. Now, that's what I'm saying. They hit their free throws. They kept their turnovers down. And they did what they were supposed to do to come out with the win, 121 to 118, in a close affair behind the scoring of Julius Randle, who finished the game with 34 points in the matchup and 11 rebounds. Then behind him, 25 points from Christian Wood and 9 rebounds, who's continuing to ball out of control. Alfred Payton has 16 points, 9 assists in the matchup. Okafor played 21 minutes, drawing 12 points, 9 rebounds, 10 points from Stanley Johnson in the game. Of course, Anthony Davis had back spasms, didn't play. And, of course, Frank Jackson didn't play. He had that concussion. He was smacked upside the head in the previous game. But outside of that matchup, big win by the New Orleans Pelicans. Despite the fact that they were short-handed, they still were able to beat a team like Sacramento, who's really a good young team, really flowing right now. The Pelicans were able to take it out of them. Now let's fast forward and move into the current matchup as the Pelicans went down to the Lakers the other night, and this was just absolutely pathetic. 130 this was just sad. 130 to 102. The Pelicans never were truly in this game. They never were. The first half, they were competitive. I'm not going to tell you no difference. The third quarter came along. They just fell through the flow. 44 points they allowed by the Lakers in the third versus their 22. And after that, it was just over with. 130 to 102. It's just what it is when it comes down to this team. 46% from the field, 47% for the Lakers. Lakers were 15 of 38 from downtown. Pelicans stunk 8 of 31 from downtown for 26%. They did go 18 of 21 from the free throw line for about 86%. But outside of that, the Pelicans turned the ball over 24 times, giving up 32 points. The Lakers pretty much just gave up the ball 11 times. Now, you lose by 28 points and you give up 24 turnovers, which you give up 32 points off 24 turnovers and lose by 28. That's where you get your the great disparity in points, how you get blown out by, because it's self-inflicted wounds. The Pelicans just undisciplined, just terrible, just need to get Gentry out of here. Anyway, speaking of Gentry and needing to get him out of here, let's see what he had to say about the performance the Pelicans had against the Lakers the other night. Here is Coach Gentry with his pathetic stuff to say.
Coach, you guys were up by 1 to start the second half, and seemingly the game just completely flipped. What went on in the third quarter?
Oh, they shot the ball extremely well, and we didn't. We started trying to play a little bit of isolation basketball, which is not what we're good at, and our turnovers. I mean, you're not going to win any basketball game where you're in the 30s as far as turnovers, points off turnovers. So we end up having 24 turnovers for 32 points, and a lot of their points in the third quarter came off turnovers. We had 12 turnovers at the half against a team that doesn't really force a lot of turnovers, and it was a game where we didn't play very good. We didn't play well at all. That's it.
And Clark had a good start, Coach. What did you see out of him early?
Oh, he started well. He didn't shoot the ball very good after that, and like I said, it was just one of those games where we never really got into any kind of rhythm, and I thought they played well. I thought Caruso came in and changed the game completely, and I thought Rondo played really well and shot the ball extremely well. I don't know what he ended up shooting from 3, but 4 for 7 from 3, but I thought he played well too. But we just got to make sure the things that we talked about. Got to compete, got to play hard, got to try to execute, and got to play unselfishly. That's what we got to do. For the next 5 games, 7 games, whatever we have left. We got to make sure that we're doing that.
It's Coach Gentry, man, giving you the lowdown on what they need to do, and they also need to do a lot more than that. But the Pelicans, man, losing these games quite pathetically. Some of them are competitive. This game was they just were absolutely emasculated in this game. I mean, what more can I tell you? They just were. I mean, defensively they stunk once again, and I mean, you had Randall. 17 points. He only played 23 minutes, by the way. Jahlil Okafor had 15, 11 from Ian Clark. Alfred Payton struggled in this game, even though he only played like 21 points, 21 minutes. He had 8 points in the game. Off the bench, Christian Wood has been showing up, 15 points, 12 from Diallo, 14 from Solomon Hill, who actually had a pretty decent game. And, of course, Darius Miller didn't play. He had a left abductor strain. It's keeping him out. Anthony Davis now has lower back pain. I don't know why he isn't doing anything. And Frank Jackson, of course, is dealing with a concussion. Now, outside of that, let's go quickly over the Pelican stories dealing with the fact that they are looking at general managers right now. On the Pelican short list, assistant general manager Larry Harris, who's assistant under the Golden State Warriors, which would be an interesting philosophy. He has some background with Don Nelson. Also assistant general manager Trajan Langdon, who's a young guy, assistant for Brooklyn Nets, who have a lot going on. Assistant GM Gerson Rojas from Houston, been there for a long time. And former assistant GM David Griffin, former GM David Griffin, the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's some of the guys the Pelicans looking at. Anybody be better than what we had. Hopefully they keep looking at him. And of course, Christian Wood is all good, man, playing real ball right now. His size, length is a perfect addition for the Pelican staff. Loving it. As always, if you love the broadcast, you can sign up with the link description below. Thank you for joining us today on the Pelican Postgame Report. Peace.
Straight sports talk from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Embrace Pet Insurance is more than just pet insurance. Embrace Pet Insurance promises to provide genuine support and certainty when your pet needs it the most. With personalized accident and illness policies, compassionate customer care, 24/7 access to veterinary professionals, flexible wellness plans, timely claims processing, and online customer portals, their values is what makes them Embrace. So, when selecting a pet insurance company as a partner in your pet's care, you deserve a company that has your pet's best interests at heart. Get top-rated and reviewed coverage for your pet today. Up to 90% back on bills at any vet, total protection, pet insurance and wellness, and dependable claims payments. Get the top-rated and reviewed coverage for your pet today. Go to embracepetiinsurance.com. That's embracepetiinsurance.com. Check the link in the description section below.
Get all the latest news and updates from your New Orleans Pelicans at the Pelicans Eye View, the new and official Pelicans Daily Journal, covering everything Pelican. Attention, everyone. Get breakdown on games, free agent signings, and potential moves. Unbiased opinions and straight up facts with statistical analysis from G Balance. Go to www.thesportsdaily.com/Pelicans-I-View.
Are you a boxing fan? Check out Ring Kings Boxing only on the PRO Media Network.
Do you need a domain name? How about a host for your website that can work with WordPress? Try Namecheap.com. They make registering, hosting, and managing domain names for yourself or others easy and affordable because the internet needs people. Namecheap is an ICANN accredited domain register and technology company founded in 2000. It's one of the fastest growing American companies according to the 2018 Inc. 5000, celebrating nearly 2 decades of providing unparalleled levels of service, security, and support. Namecheap has been steadfast in customer satisfaction with over 10 million domains under management. Namecheap is among the top domain registers and web providers in the world. They offer a full selection of popular and unique domains along with fully featured hosting packages, SSL security certificates, WhoisGuard privacy protections, and more, all at the lowest prices in the industry. So if you need a domain name or hosting or anything else, think Namecheap.com. That's right, Namecheap.com. Check the description section below for link.